Have you ever wondered what the difference is between a 504 plan and an IEP? Many parents hear these terms used in school meetings, but the differences between them are not always clearly explained. Both plans are designed to support students with disabilities, but they serve different purposes and operate under different laws. So in this video, what I want to do is I want to explain what a 504 plan is, what an IEP plan is, what the key differences are between those two. And by the end of this video, you'll have a more clear understanding of how these two support systems work. So let's start with a 504 plan. What is a 504 plan? Well, a 504 plan comes from the Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, which is a civil rights law, and it was designed to prevent discrimination against individuals with disabilities. In schools, this law ensures that individuals or students with disabilities have equal access to education. A student may qualify for a 504 plan if they have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more life activities. Now, those life activities could include things such as learning, concentrating, reading, walking, breathing, communicating. And some common conditions that we often see a student qualify for a 504 plan include things such as diabetes, or maybe ADHD, or asthma, maybe some type of temporary injury such as a broken arm or a broken leg. The key thing to understand about a 504 plan is that it provides accommodations, not specialized instruction. And then those accommodations simply help level that playing field for that student so that student can access the same instruction as every other student in the classroom. And some of those examples of that 504 accommodation might include extended time on test, or maybe preferential seating, or frequent breaks, maybe the use of some type of assistive technology, maybe reducing their homework load for a certain period of time, maybe giving them permission to record lectures. And remember, the goal is to remove the barriers. It's not to change the curriculum. So, on the other hand, what is an IEP? Well, an IEP is an Individualized Education Program. An IEP comes from a different federal law called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which is also commonly called IDEA. Now, unlike Section 504, IDEA is an education law. It's not a civil rights law. An IEP is designed for those students who have a specific disability and they require specialized instruction. And to qualify for an IEP, you have to have two things. One of them, the first is that the student has to have a disability that's categorized and recognized under IDEA. Some of those might include a specific learning disability, autism, a speech impairment, an emotional disturbance, an intellectual disability, maybe other health impairment, maybe a visual or hearing impairment. And the second thing is, after we have the diagnosis of a disability, it has to so impact their educational performance that they need specially designed instruction. Now, an IEP is much more detailed than a 504 plan because it includes things like the student's current levels of academic and functional performance. It includes measurable annual goals. It includes any of the special education services the student is going to receive. It includes related services such as occupational therapy or physical therapy or transportation. It will include accommodations and modifications along with a plan for progress monitoring. You know that an IEP is a legally binding document, and the law says it must be reviewed at least once a year. Now, students with IEP may receive services such as specialized reading instruction, small group instruction, speech therapy, occupational therapy, behavioral supports. And the focus is not just access to education, it is individualized instruction designed to help that student make progress. So now that we know what those two things are, what are the key differences between a 504 plan and an IEP? So let's take a look at the differences. Number one is the law. 504 comes from the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, while IDEA comes from the Individuals with Disabilities Act. Eligibility requirements are different. 504 plans have a much more broader eligibility criteria. A student simply needs a disability that substantially limits a major life activity that we've already talked about. An IEP is much more specific. The requirements are that the student has to have a disability and they have to require specially designed instruction. So between an IEP and a 504, what type of supports do we have? Well, a 504 plan includes those accommodations that we talked about, extended time, seating adjustments, things of that nature, while an IEP provides specialized instruction and services, such as the things that we talked about, therapy services, individual academic goals. When we're looking at a 504 plan, excuse me, and an IEP, what are the requirements for levels of documentation? Well, 504 plans are generally shorter and much less detailed. An IEP is very comprehensive, often several pages long, because it includes goals, services, and progress monitoring. Within 504 and the IEP, parents do have procedural rights and safeguards. An IEP comes with extensive procedural safeguards that protect the student and the parent. Those include things such as prior written notice, due process hearing information, discussion about mediation options. It details the evaluation procedures that are going to be used. A 504 plan does include protections, but they're generally less detailed. So, what does a student need, one versus the other? A helpful way to look at the difference is this. If a student simply needs supports to access the general education curriculum, then a 504 plan may be appropriate. But if that student needs specialized instruction to learn the curriculum, then an IEP may be necessary. For example, a student with ADHD who needs extended time on a test probably will qualify for 504. But a student with dyslexia who requires specialized reading instruction may qualify for an IEP. Understanding the difference between a 504 plan and an IEP is an important step in making sure that students receive the support they need in school. But both plans are designed to help those students with disabilities, but they serve different roles within the education system. If you found this explanation helpful, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with other parents or educators who might benefit from it. And if you have any questions about special education or learning differences or supports, leave them in the comments below. And thanks for watching.